Hey everyone, how are you? My name is Alex and welcome to my tutorial for how to detail your landscape. This is part one in a multi-part series, and I don't have a plan exactly at this point for how many parts there will be, but there are going to be at least 2 or 3 parts. But in any case, this is part one, and what we're going to be doing today is taking a look at the 6 different very unattractive, boring landscapes that you see behind me, and we're going to go through the step-by-step process of how to detail these things so that they can look a lot more visually appealing to you or to anybody who's looking at what it is that you are building, and in general, just make it better. And it doesn't have to be outrageously crazy. It doesn't have to require a ton of elaborate materials in order to do it. It's very simple, but very effective at the same time. So why don't we start with the oak tree landscape right there, and I'm going to grab the blocks that I'll need for it, and I will see you in a moment. Now, when you're looking at a landscape like this, we really only have 5 by 5 of an area to work in. And that's okay. You don't have to have a massive piece of land in order to do detailing. Detailing is very easy, and the blocks that I've actually selected for this are an oak button, a spruce button, oak leaves, and 3 different flowers. And you could choose whatever flowers you want depending on what color scheme you're aiming for. I'm aiming for kind of like a pink, blue, and very light, sort of whitish yellow coloring. So that's what I'm going for. And the first thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take the oak leaves because I just want to adjust the shape of the tree because this is such a default tree. And again, that's not really a bad thing, but it's not really a good thing either. So I'm going to come up here, and I think I want the tree to just be a little bit rounder. So I'm going to put 2 blocks there, then I think what I'll do is put a couple more blocks right there, and then 1 block there, and then a couple right there. And as you can see, that changes the shape already. So now the tree has a slightly rounder look to it, and I'm not really going to do anything more than that with the top. Now I'm going to come to the bottom, and I want it to look like the leaves are just kind of hanging down a little bit and make it seem like it's overgrown. So I'm going to go like that, and then I'm going to come over here and stick that one there, and I think I'm going to put this one down there like that. So now the branches are just kind of hanging down a little bit, like as if this is a wild, just nature-filled area that's not part of like a village or something like that, but more of like a forest that you might be building. Something a little bit overgrown. Now I want there to be just kind of an area that's worn down a little bit, or just make it seem like it's not just like perfectly uniform grass, because if you look out in nature underneath a tree, you're not going to see just like perfectly mowed grass. That's not realistic at all. And I personally want this landscape to look a little realistic. So I'm going to dig out a path here. So this is an area that is just bare grass. And I think, no, actually Minecraft won't let you do that. Okay, well that's fine. No big deal. So now it's just a little bit different from what it was before. And now all of a sudden it's a little bit more visually interesting too. Now I'm going to take some buttons. I've got 2 different color buttons here, and I'm going to put them down. I'm also going to show you a fun little technique here. So I've got different colors, and that's great. But if you notice, they're all facing the same way. There was a time in this game when we couldn't turn around a button, but now we can. And now, just by doing that, it's not just, doesn't look like you just place the same rock over and over again, and they have different colors. So it's now just a little bit visually more interesting. And I can take this spruce button, and I can go like that. And now your eye is here, and then it's over there. And then it's looking at this, and then it's looking under the tree. So it's a little bit different from what it was previously. Now, I also want this to have just a nice bit of detail and a pop of color. So I'm going to stick a peony right there. And then I'm going to take a couple flowers, stick that there, and then stick that there. And like I said, this is a very small area, and there's not, there's only so much that you're going to be able to do with all these items, but it's definitely a lot more interesting than what it was previously, and that's really the point. As you can see here, I have 6 items in my hotbar, and these first 3, the moss block, the moss carpet, and the oak log, are going to be for the ground, and the azalea leaves and the glowberries will be for the top. In addition to that, I am also going to use the moss block a little bit in the top section here just to do a really fun trick. So in any case, let me start with the bottom first and then work my way up. So I'm going to place some logs around the bottom of this tree, like this. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want the tree to just have a little bit more volume and look like it's got roots that are spreading and that there's more to the tree trunk than just a straight up and down 1 by 1 block, because that's a little boring. So now I'm going to take my carpet and I'm going to go around like that. And I think I want to do a little bit more, but I also want the ground to have a variation of color. So I'm going to replace a few with this right here, with the moss block. And now, as you can see, it is a lot more visually interesting than what it was before. And yes, you absolutely can put moss carpet on just about any solid block and call it a day. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my moss right here and I'm going to stick it here in this empty space, here in this empty space, and where would be another fun place to stick it? I think I'm going to actually get rid of this block and I'm going to put it here. Now I'm going to take my regular azalea leaves and I'm going to put one in front so that this one is hidden. We want to hide this as much as possible without hiding the bottom of it. So the sides and the top of the moss block really should be hidden. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go like this. Then I'm going to take these leaves, put that there. And I think I'll put this here. And I don't think I want to just completely interrupt that. I want just a little bit of variation, and I don't want this to be like a blocky tree. Now I think I want to go like that. And I think I want to go like that as well. So I think we've got it there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is going to take my glowberries. I'm going to hang them down from there like that. And the reason we're doing this is that we're kind of making it look like something is growing off of this tree, and that this tree is just so much more interesting than what we had previously. So now there's a lot more going on with this tree. As a matter of fact, I think I want to just kind of hide that right there, because I think it will look better. And the next thing that I want to do is actually want to have some, like, pieces of tree, if that makes any sense. That's probably not a good way for me to say that, but, just make it look like the tree is just kind of hanging down a little bit. And what this will do is it gives the tree a little bit more life, and it just makes it so much more interesting than what it was previously, because now it's hanging over something. And if you saw in that one video that I did, when I did that, I actually hung it over a bridge so you could walk under it or walk through it. So it's just, if you think about it from the perspective of playing in survival mode, if you're walking underneath this is a lot more interesting than just walking under a standard tree that hasn't had anything done to it. I hope the way that I explained that made sense. I'm also going to grab bone meal. And I'm going to light up some of these vines. The reason I'm doing this too It is really fun to do things like this because now you also have a light source, so you don't have to have lanterns hanging from your tree or just spam torches everywhere in order to make a particular area look nice. So there we go, and there's a lot of different variations that you can do with this. As a matter of fact, I want to remove that block right there just to make it a little bit prettier, and that actually gives it a nice curve. And, the nice thing about detailing something too is you can take things off and put it back on. It's okay to do that. There are definitely a lot of different things that you can do. Now we come to one of my all-time favorite landscapes, the empty field. This is probably the most difficult thing to landscape because it gets very complicated very quickly, especially because there's so much open space and you need to put something there, but it's a flat space and there's just a bunch of grass everywhere and you're not really sure what to do. My recommendation is to come in and get rid of some of the grass, but leave some of it as well. And if you have, two block tall grass, leave it be because it does make things more visually interesting. So those are the ones that I want to remove. Now, I'm going to go in with my moss. I'm going to put in some moss there and right there. A couple pieces right there and one right there. Next, I'm going to take my moss blocks and I'm going to just kind of raise up the land just a little bit. And I don't think I want to do it anywhere else, but I do want to put in some carpet. And that is kind of going to create an area where things are just, some things are higher or lower. Actually, I don't like that right there. I don't like the way that that looks, so I'm going to remove it. But it's like, oh, the moss is puffier right here than it is right here. And oh, look at this section that's raised up. And you could go like that as well. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to remove that block and I'm going to put it there like that. So now we have like the bottom layer, this upper layer, we've got this layer back here, the carpet, and then we have this block, and then we have more carpet on top, and then this is higher than most other things. Now, I have all these different little plants that I've picked out, and you can use whatever plants you want. There are no rules about this. I want this one to be my focal point, because it's a very bright plant, but if you're standing right here, you don't completely see it. And if you come around this way, you start to see it, but then you kind of don't. So it's hidden, but also glaringly obvious at the same time, but not too glaringly obvious. So this one right here is a little bit darker, so I'm going to kind of hide it right there, hide that little plant. Then I'm going to put this one in here, and I think I want this up there as well. Now I've got these dandelions, and I want just a pop of color, so I'm going to stick them in right there. And then I'm going to take an oxeye daisy, and I think that's really all that I want to do, and I want to just leave that one open back there. Now all of a sudden, our open field has high ground, low ground. It's visually interesting. You're sitting here looking this way and that way. You're kind of going up and down, but not in like a, oh my god, it's too busy, I don't know what to look at way, but more in a way where it looks like this is actually a grown-in, flowing area full of life. Whereas before, humor me, as before, it just looked like that. And it didn't even have any flowers in it. It honestly really just looked more like this. That is boring. That is very boring. There is nothing interesting about that at all. But now it's a lot more exciting looking. So here we come to rocks. And Minecraft doesn't have small rocks in the game that you can place down on the ground. On top of that, in terms of rocks, we have really big square blocks that are made of different stone types, and they're quite large, and this is about as small of a rock as you can put down on the ground. So we kind of have to pretend that rocks exist in the game. But a really nice rock landscape or rocky landscape can look really cool and sometimes better than foliage, which is kind of funny and you wouldn't think it, but it can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece of cobblestone right here, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this right here. And that doesn't look good. But if I put this slab right here, and then I come back here and I put this slab right here and this one right here, now we have a small boulder. And this 100% looks like something that you would find along a hiking trail. And now I want other rocks to be in this area. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to take a pressure plate and we're going to pretend that it's a slab or like a slate, piece of like slate, rock. We're going to slap that right there. And then we're going to take another one and we're going to put it right here. Now I have these 3 buttons and we're going to pretend that the buttons are rocks. And I'm going to take one and I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to turn myself around and I'm going to place it so it's oriented differently from the first one. Then I'm going to come over here and I've decided I want a different color. And I've decided I really want a different color, but I want to keep it kind of hidden just for humor's sake, so it's going to go back there. And then I'm going to take this lighter colored one and I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go here. And now we have just kind of like a cute little rocky landscape. And this is so simple. And this isn't the only kind of pressure plate that you could use for this. If you want, you could take this one, because this one also looks a lot like stone. And let's say because we have this black stone button back here, we could put that right there, and now it is really visually exciting and very different from what we had before. In fact, I actually like it more with the black stone pressure plates than the stone one that I had there previously. Or you could go like that. And I think that's visually interesting as well. And if you wanted, you could stick a plant in here. You don't have to, but you could if you wanted to, just to have like a little something visually interesting in the background, and maybe a little bit of grass. Can't hurt. There's grass among rocks, and now you have something that's a little bit more exciting. But you don't have to have the foliage in there. You don't have to clutter your landscape too, because you should also think about cluttering. Like, this is fine for what it is, but it is a little cluttered, whereas there's still just some open areas. And you could do something with the terrain as well if you wanted to, but you don't absolutely have to. The things that are on top of your, grassy area can be just enough to get the job done. Here we have a barren, sandy desert landscape, and it just doesn't look good. I think I kind of overdid it a little bit with making this look boring, but this obviously needs to be spruced up quite a bit. Now, I am definitely going to keep the cactus because I think it is very cool to have a cactus, but we are going to just liven up this area a little bit, because cactuses are not dead areas of the world. They're really not. Deserts are quite alive. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove the dead bushes completely. I am going to reuse them, but just in a slightly different way. Now I'm going to take my sand, and I'm going to place it around like so. And this just, it livens up the landscape a little bit, and it also brings a little bit of height to it, which is very much needed. So we're actually going to leave it like that. Do I want to have it? I think I kind of like that a little bit better. I think that just gives us a nicer slope. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the sandstone, and I'm going to go around like this, because it changes the color of the terrain a little bit, and it will definitely make this more visually interesting in terms of texture, and sometimes that's all that you have to do. So there we go. So now we have different kinds of sand. Now I'm going to take a bush and I think I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to take my bamboo pressure plate, and I just picked bamboo because I think this color looks the best up against the sand. I'm going to stick it right there. We're going to pretend that that's like some kind of slabbed rock. And then we're going to put a button there and then a button right here. And I want a rock up here as well. So I'm going to put that right there. And I think I want another rock. So, but I don't really like where that's situated. So I'm going to put it right there. So now we've got a few rocks in this area. And next, I want to pretend that there are tinier cactus plants. So I'm going to put around some sea pickles. I didn't want to put a sea pickle there. I wanted to put it... Actually, I don't like that. So I'm going to put it right here. Another one right here. And maybe like a little cluster right there. So now we have little tiny cactus plants that are very adorable. And now we come to the edge of the river. And there really aren't a lot of blocks for us to work with on this side or this side. But we do have a lot that we can work with in here as well. Because even a stream, because this isn't really like a river, this is more like a stream. Even a stream is not going to necessarily be this shallow. It will have more of an inward slope. Therefore, before I add in any of these blocks right here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to go like this. And now, all of a sudden, that can be a lot more visually interesting than what we had before. And I think I even want to go that deep, and I think that's perfectly fine. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go in with these blocks here, and I want to put coarse dirt right there, and coarse dirt on these 3 blocks. So now it's just a little bit more exciting. And next, I want to take the podzol. And I want to go around like this to kind of be sort of like mud, but I don't want to use mud blocks because they're so dark. But I do want something that kind of looks like mud, but also like it might be mixed in with grass and leaves and a few other things. And then I'm going to put podzol right there as well. Now I'm going to take coarse dirt. I'm going to go there, there, and there. And then I'm going to take my path block. I'm going to go in like that, and like that, like that. We've completely removed all of the grass, and as you can imagine, if you have an entire stream, and you've done just this right here, and completely eliminated the grass, you've really created a little bank alongside the stream, and you could most definitely put plants here if you wanted to, but because it's flowing water, if you're trying to be realistic, you wouldn't really have a number of plants growing right up against the water. However, this is definitely the time when you can take something like drip leaf and you can put it along the riverbed like this. And now you have something that's pretty interesting. And then you can take your seagrass and you can pretend that it's like algae. And you can put it around like this and really make this inside of your stream look interesting. Now, if buttons could be placed underwater, then we could definitely make this look 100% like a little river instead of just a stream and have like little river rocks in here. But you can't place buttons underground, so, we are limited by Minecraft physics. But in any case, still, this is a lot better than what it was previously. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to remove that one right there. And I'm going to put it right there. And I just think that looks a little bit better and a little bit more exciting than what we had previously. So there you go. And you could add in big drip leaf too. You could add in as many aquatic plants, I think, as you would like. So there we have it. That's the last landscape. So there we have it, folks. That does it for this tutorial. I hope that this has been helpful and interesting and that it made sense. If there's any part of this that did not make sense, you are welcome to let me know in the comment section and ask questions. I think it's very appropriate to ask questions, and you're also welcome to share different ideas that you have about different ways to enhance a landscape, because even just what I have shown you here, this is not the only way to do things, and there are many, many different ways that we can design a landscape inside this game, and we're all creative people with many different ideas, and we are welcome to share those ideas as often as we would like. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, then feel free to subscribe, comment, and like if you want to see more. And as always, I will see you guys next time, or in this case, part 2. Okay? Part 2, everybody. You know you want a part 2. You know you do.